How's it going, guys? Randall, aka Shizakats, here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel with our 8-door deck profile for Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai's third Weiss Schwarz set. This powerful Mai Sakurajima focused deck took the Japanese scene by storm, and even through 2 different restrictionless changes, continues to see play to this day. However, with this set being a fresh release in English, we'll be taking a look at the full power version of the deck, as well as a couple contingency lists in case this deck gets restricted in English in the future. Let's start by taking a look at the main idea of the deck, which revolves around our finisher combo. The level 3 Mai has 10,000 power and heals on play, and has a climax combo with Door. On attack, if you have 3 or more other characters and 5 or less hand, you can pay 1, discard 1 Adolescence character, then resolve the following effect either 2 times or 3 times depending on how much memory you have. Your opponent sends the bottom 2 cards of their deck to the waiting room, and if there is a climax among them, burn 2. By default, this ability will fire twice, for 4 total cards milled, and potentially up to 2 burn 2s. However, if you have 4 or more uniquely named cards in memory, this effect will fire 3 times instead, for a total of 6 cards milled, and potentially 3 burn 2s, which would be enormous. This combo has similar strengths and weaknesses to other popular Icy Tail / Spicy Tail type combos, such as Aki from Chainsaw Man or Miku from Quintessential Quintuplets, in that the combo can have wildly different outcomes depending on the order of the cards in the opponent's deck. Sometimes all of their climaxes are on the bottom and you're dealing tons of burn damage that won't get cancelled since you just milled all their climaxes. Other times you will mill a ton of clean cards and all the climaxes are at the top of the deck ready to cancel your attacks. It's an extremely polarizing finisher as a result, and in order to maximize the effectiveness of the combo, you will absolutely want to be pursuing that 4 memory condition to mill as many cards from your opponent's deck as possible. Which brings us to the memory cards in question. Most builds run at least 6 unique sources of memory, which is how many we are running in our deck. Let's start with the appropriately named Accumulating Memories Mai Sakurajima, a fantastic new RR from set 3. This is the deck's Riki profile. On play, pay 1 Clock Yourself to search for a level 1 or lower character from the deck, allowing easy setup of important early game profiles such as the level 1 Climax combo. At the end of her attack, or when she becomes reversed, if you have 1 or less memory, you can send her to memory for free. Very important card for her setup effect, and just as importantly, she's the only source of memory in the deck that doesn't cost any stock to get there. However, you will probably be paying 1 to use her Riki effect anyway. In my opinion, the next most important memory card in the deck is the 2-1 event. When played, it immediately sends itself to memory, then you salvage 2 Mai characters and discard a card. Then, if you have 6 or more door climaxes in your waiting room, you can pay an additional 1 stock to free refresh, then draw 1, discard 1. This is a crazy strong hand fix tool that allows you to secure whatever you need for the mid to late game, such as copies of the level 3 combo or cards to send to memory so that you can reach the 4 memory condition. I highly recommend running a full 4 copies as this is a fantastic way to streamline the back half of the game. Up next, we have 2 copies each of the 2-1 Mai and 0-0 Mai. This new 2-1 has 2 base soul and can swing for extremely high power if you decide to use her as an attacker, but we're mainly using her for her other ability that sends herself to memory to search the deck for either our level 1 or level 3 combo. Instead of directly sculpting for 3 copies of my finisher to use in the endgame, it's pretty normal to grab this instead and use it as a middleman to grab a copy from the deck. The level 0 Mai can give up to 2 characters 1k power if you trigger a door, but more importantly, has a secondary ability that puts herself in memory. If you are at level 2 or higher, you can pay 1 and send this standing card to memory to top check 2, add 1. This can add events and climaxes as well, making it a prime card to hold going into the endgame to help dig for the level 3 finisher climax if you don't already have it. Finally, our last 2 memory sources, both of which activate upon getting reversed, are the level 1 Mai and level 0 Mai. The level 1 is a reverser, and upon being reversed herself, you can pay 1, discard 1, send her to memory to search your deck for an Adolescence character. The level 0 Mai has just one effect. Upon being reversed, you can pay 1, discard 1, and send her to memory to salvage a character from the waiting room. A few memory sources that have seen play here and there but are not featured in this list include the On Reverse Rize with 3-2 Mai package from set 1, the Draw Mai from set 2, and the Clock Swap Mai from set 3. Typically in games, I want to aim for the Riki and then the 2-1 event to be my first 2 cards being sent to memory. I don't really like to spend stock earlier than necessary so that I can play more flexibly moving forward if I need to. From there, I can use the 2-1 event to grab cards that I can then use to grab my other endgame pieces. For example, if I don't have the level 3 Climax yet, I can grab the level 0 Mai that top checks 2, and if I have 2 Mais in hand already with 1 in waiting room and the last one is stuck in stock, then I can grab the level 0 Yellow Mai to salvage my level 3 with her on reverse effect. In order to resolve triple Mai, you need to start your attacks with 1 stock. Adding on the 6 stock needed to play the Mais results in a total of 7 starting stock needed on your finisher turn. However, on top of that, over the course of the game you will want to take into account the stock costs of the cards that you are sending to memory. All of our memory cards cost 1 stock to get into memory besides the Riki, bringing our total stock expenditure up to at least 10, but probably 11 if you are using the Riki effect. Over the course of the entire game, your goal is to be able to spend this 10 or 11 stock while also having enough stock to spend on other things, such as brainstorms or climax swap. This fairly high cost over the course of the game means that the deck scales extremely poorly if the game is going fast, since you simply won't have enough stock to work with. But that's where this guy comes into play. The level 1 Sakuta plus level 0 Futaba vanilla package has been around since the very beginning of Bunny Girl Senpai, and have found a fantastic home in this deck. Sakuta's ability to send Futaba to stock allows the deck to accumulate much more stock than usual, which can then be used to pay for these various memory costs. Okay, we've talked about like half the deck already, but we haven't even looked at the level 1 combo yet. This level 1 Mai has 3500 base power, but upon attacking, if you have accumulating memories Mai in memory, she will gain an extra 3k power and will trigger twice on each of her attacks, with the second trigger of the 2 being sent to waiting room immediately afterwards. This allows her to swing for a very solid 7500 power after climax, and the double trigger effect potentially allows you to trigger an extra door climax here and there to gain extra advantage and additionally proc the effects of certain characters in the deck, such as the level 0 Mai we looked at earlier. However, this double trigger effect is mandatory, so it can become a liability at times, and this is a big reason as to why I don't really like playing this card as much once I've finished my first turn of level 1 combos and want to start playing for second deck compression. Her climax combo, also on door, activates on attack, allowing you to top check 3 and add any card from among them to your hand without showing your opponent. Similar to the level 0 Mai that top checks 2, this can add events and climaxes, making it a great way to secure your level 2 event for your mid-game and or your finisher door climax for your endgame, all while keeping your opponent in the dark as to what options you have waiting in your hand for future turns. Okay, now that we've talked about the core concepts of the deck, let's take a look at the remaining cards that fill out our strategy. The level 0 Shoko is a pretty great level 0 piece, especially if you go first. While you have 4 or more cards in hand, Shoko goes from 1500 power to 3k level 1 Chaser during the opponent's turn. On top of that, Shoko also has the well-loved Helmet effect, being able to sack herself and discard a card to salvage whatever character you may need from your waiting room. Our brainstorm of choice for the deck is the level 0 Kaede. Rest self-salvage brainstorm, and whenever you trigger a climax, you can look at the top card of your deck and either leave it there or send it to waiting room, and give a character 1000 power for the turn. Triggering a climax on the last attack allows you to mill clean cards from the top of your deck to get closer to your next cancel, or just lets you freely mill cards from the deck if you happen to trigger the last available climax. This also synergizes well with the level 1 combo's double trigger effect, giving more chances to proc this effect. Do note that if you trigger a climax on the first of the 2 triggers, you do not immediately use Kaede's effect. You have to wait until both triggers are done and you reach a check timing, and then you can resolve Kaede's effect. This also means that if you trigger 2 climaxes in a row with a single copy of Mai, you resolve Kaede's effect twice in a row as well. Our climax swap of choice is the level 0 Futaba from set 3. She is both a climax swap from deck, as well as a Fukujiro. On death, ditch 1 to top check 4, and add a level 1 or higher card from among them to your hand. She is mainly run in the deck to be a climax swap, but her Fukujiro effect can definitely come in handy if you need extra mill, or your hand is just not shaping up very well. Our last 2 cards are 2 more options to let us get to our endgame climax, the level 0 Mai PR and the level 0 Uzuki from set 3. Both of these cards' effects clock a card from hand as cost in order to check cards from the top of the deck and add one to hand. Mai looks at a static 3 cards, while Uzuki can look at up to 4 based on how many other characters you have on stage. Uzuki also has the side benefit of getting +1 soul while in the front row center slot, while Mai has the side benefit of being Mai. No, seriously, being a Mai allows her to be picked up off of the 2-1 event, giving you a way to clock yourself without having to pay the additional stock that you would have to pay if you were to play a Riki instead. For our level 1s, there is only one card that we haven't talked about so far, which is the 1-0 Twin Drive Mai. When placed, she gains 3k power for the turn, letting her attack for 5500, and if you do not already have a red card in memory, you can send a copy of the Riki from your waiting room to memory. This is basically our 5th copy of Riki, since it's extremely important that we're able to get that into memory on time for our level 1 combo, as well as be part of our 4 memory condition. Additionally, she has on attack pay 1 Twin Drive, letting you pay out triggered climaxes on the fly. Very important for a deck that wants to avoid having to resort to frivolous stock spending just for the sake of paying out a triggered climax. At level 2, there is also only one card that we haven't looked at yet, which is this 2-1 Mai. This Mai is a level assist and can refund a stock from waiting room if you play her into a full board. A great effect to have considering how much stock we will want to be saving in this deck. Additionally, whenever you trigger a door climax, if you have 2 or more unique names in memory, you get to look at the top card of the opponent's deck and either leave it there or send it to the bottom of their deck, and you get to give a character 1500 power for the turn. This is an extremely powerful tool when the finisher is taken into context. Not only do you get to remove a climax from the top that your opponent was going to use to cancel, you move it exactly where your level 3 Mai finisher wants it to be, on the bottom, for her to mill it and get a burn 2. Also, just as a quick final note, this card also interacts with the Twin Drive mechanic the exact same way as the Kaede Brainstorm. And wouldn't you believe it, we have only one level 3 left that we haven't talked about yet, the Kaede Early Play Healer. This set 1 card is still just as strong as ever. She has a 4 or more characters early play condition, letting her be early played extremely easily, although this does slightly conflict with the 2-1 assist. On play, she heals, and then you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a level 1 or lower card, including climaxes, you send it to stock, refunding half of her cost. With as much stock as the deck needs to develop over the course of the game, this isn't necessarily a card that we are aiming to play frequently, even though she can potentially come to play for 1 stock. Every single stock counts, and in the unfortunate event that this card misses its top check to refund 1 stock on like a 2-1 event or something, it could be devastating to our finisher turn. However, as a safety option for games where we are just taking way too much damage and need another card to heal, this is an amazing card to be able to include in our deck. As far as overall level 0 quality goes in this deck, it's not actually super high. Our best early game cards are ones like the Futaba Vanilla, Shoko Helmet, and Riki, with many other cards in the level 0 game being ones that don't do very much in early game contexts, such as the level 0 Mais or either of our self-clock profiles. In matchups where you perceive 3k power will be harder for your opponent to scale over, such as Nino, you should definitely keep it for your easy early game plussing. But in other matchups where 3k will surely not be enough on defense, I would probably discard it if I don't have better options. By level 1, your goal should be to have the Mai Riki in memory to allow the level 1 combo to gain her extra power and double trigger effect. You will ideally be able to use the level 1 Mais to speed through your first deck and reach first refresh before hitting level 2. If you don't already have one, try to secure a copy of the 2-1 event in your hand while going through cards for your level 1 combo. There are also a few cards that you will want to be constantly giving your attention to with regards to where they are. One of them is the Futaba Vanilla. Since you need a copy in waiting room in order to send it to stock with the Sakuta level 1, you will want your copies in rotation at all times. If you ever plan on paying stock in any given main phase, consider getting the stock with the Sakuta first, and then immediately paying it out in order to keep your Futabas in rotation. The other cards you will want to keep tabs on are your level 1 and level 3 combos. With the level 2 Mai able to search these cards from the deck, you will want to know how many copies are where and what you can potentially play around. This is also important info for your level 1 and level 0 Mais that search and salvage respectively, so you know what you should grab off the 2-1 event based on where your target card is. At level 2, assess your current position in the game with regards to how much memory and stock you have. Moving forward, will you have enough stock to be able to triple combo? If not, then you should probably only prepare to play 2 copies. Playing 2 copies of Mai with 4 cards in memory is always going to be better resource-wise compared to playing 3 copies of Mai with less than 4 memory, so prioritize accordingly. While you are down a healer between the 2 scenarios, you can simply sculpt for a Kaede early play healer instead of the 3rd Mai. At level 3, as mentioned previously, you are aiming for 7 stock before you have played your Mais, so that you can have 1 stock at the start of your attack phase. Also, make sure you are taking into account certain factors that might hinder your ability to use her combo. For example, she needs 3 or more other characters on stage, so you will want to watch out for a potential counter that can remove something from the board if you only have 4 characters out. Additionally, you need to watch out for your own hand size. If you are having a really good game and have 6 or more cards in your hand, you actually won't be able to use the combo at all. Don't accidentally lose the game because you were just winning so hard up until that point and didn't pay attention to your hand size. In terms of color priority, you should pretty much always prioritize red since the majority of the deck needs it, followed by blue, which is just for the Sakuta level 1. Now let's take a look at a couple alternative build paths just for future-proofing reasons. First up, we have the green version of the deck, which doesn't use the Sakuta level 1 since it was originally choice restricted in JP. This deck uses the level 0 Futaba assist from set 2 in order to generate stock, and no longer uses blue in the deck. Cards like the Futaba assist as well as the level 0 Shoko 4K beater can now be your color fixes for green, allowing use of cards like the 2-1 Shoko double anti-change clock bomb, or the 3-2 Futaba clock kick, whose on-play ability can help dig for your level 3 climax. Additionally, the other now open slots at level 1 can be used for a variety of different things, but many players in JP opted to try out the 1-0 organ donor events from set 2 to give the deck a little bit of extra mill and waiting room access. Alternatively, if Mai were to get limited to 2 instead, she would still be able to use the Sakuta stock charge package and would instead need to fill out 2 slots at level 3. The most common consideration as a finisher replacement is the 3-2 trial deck Mai. Yup, that's right. Ephemeral existence Mai Sakurajima is seeing legitimate play in the year 2025. The Kogari stand from set 2 also sees a little bit of use since you're on blue anyways, but unlike the trial deck Mai, she doesn't let you dig through the top cards of your deck. Finally, here are some yellow considerations for the deck that we didn't include in our list. First up is the 3-2 Uzuki, which can be used to salvage a climax if you don't already have it. However, the cost to do so is quite hefty at 3 stock. The 2-1 Kaede Bouncer is your best bet to counter Shakugan no Shana, whose anti-burn ruins this deck's entire endgame plan. Finally, the 3-2 Nodoka early play can flex between being a healer or forcing your opponent to mill 10. Ordinarily, my combo gets the job done well enough due to milling 6 cards per copy, but sometimes the opponent's deck is just so monstrously compressed that you can mill a bunch of climaxes and they would still cancel all of your burns, in which case you may want to lead off with a Nodoka to get a good chunk of the deck out of the way. Alright folks, that's going to do it for our Bunny Girl Set 3 deck profile. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them down in the comment section below, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for our upcoming Bunny Girl gameplay block. Until then, this has been Randall aka Shizakats on the Tressa Collectibles channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!